Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment. It's time for yet another 2017 NFL Draft Scouting Report, and today we are talking about wide receiver John Ross out of Washington. Now let me be clear. I loved John Ross before the Combine. If you've been following me on Twitter, and you should, at the MJ Take, you know this. I've been talking about John Ross because, first of all, I knew he was going to get damn near close, if not going all the way in terms of beating Chris Johnson's 40-yard dash record. Any little bit of research could have shown you that. He ran a 4.25 40-yard dash at Washington's Pro Day last year. Okay, we already knew he was fast, or at least I did. But when I turned on the film, guys, he's good. I mean, we look at guys like Tavon Austin and some other shorter guys that have been really fast, and we're concerned, like Corey Coleman as well. We say, well, these short guys that are fast, they can't catch the ball well, they can't run routes, they're not very good. And in the past, you'd be right. I hated Corey Coleman last year. I didn't think he deserved to be a first-round pick, and I think he kind of proved that. But John Ross, oh my, guys, this guy is good. Let's get into this guy. So he's 5'11", 188 pounds. And I think this is a good size. I mean, the thing is now, for some odd reason, people are still against taking these short wide receivers. People aren't valuing these quote unquote short wide receivers when, I mean, who were the top 10 in receiving yards this year? You look at T.Y. Hilton, you look at Brandin Cooks, you look at Doug Baldwin, you look at Antonio Brown. Shorter wide receivers are finding a lot of success nowadays, so I think this is good size. We look at his 2016 stats: 81 receptions, 1,150 receiving yards, 17 touchdowns. And let me tell you something. I mean, when I watched John Ross, man, Jake Browning, the Washington quarterback, this guy's not good. John Ross had so many opportunities to exceed 1,300 receiving yards. I mean, there were so many times where John Ross was just flat out open, 30 or 40 yards down the field, and Jay Browning just could not get the ball there. Okay, so there was still a lot of production that he could have gotten. He could have got over 20 touchdowns and 1,300 receiving yards easily, to me, and a 40-yard dash time of 4.22, breaking Chris Johnson's 40-yard dash record. We look at his strengths: speed, athleticism. Okay, we already know about his speed. 4.22 40-yard dash. Athleticism, had a high vertical over 40 inches, I believe, at the Combine. Good broad jump over 11 feet there. He is an athlete. Tracking the ball, he's very good at tracking the ball. Again, I saw so many times where Jake Browning underthrew this man. He had to stop in his tracks, track the ball, and do his best to try to get it, despite now the defensive backs having caught up to him. He's very good at tracking the ball. I mean, I saw plenty of times where he's going up the field, Jake Browning throws it way too far to the sideline. John Ross begins to adjust and does the best he can to try to come down with that football, putting himself in the best position possible to come down with the football. He's very good at tracking the ball. We move on to his hands. Why do people think John Ross has bad hands? Can we use stats here? According to Pro Football Focus, John Ross only has 6 drops in 105 catchable passes the past 2 years. And you turn on the film, you don't see drops. I mean, I don't know where this opinion and thought process that John Ross doesn't have good hands. I think, again, he's falling under these short wide receiver stereotypes. You turn on the film, I see good hands. I even saw a couple times where, again, Jake Browning threw him terrible balls, and he caught those balls out of bounds at that point. And again, there's a statistic where only 6 droppable passes, or only 6 dropped passes out of 105 catchable passes. I mean, this guy has good hands. He has good hands there, and I like that. Now, during his pro day, I did hear that he was double catching some balls, but I think the tape speaks for itself there. And then how about this? He gives you something dynamic in special teams. Having a guy back there in punt return and kick returns running a 4.22 40, I mean, that is a weapon, man. We all know that to be true. How about his weaknesses? Number one, durability. Number one is durability. You look at his injury history. Tore meniscus in 2014, had to have a microfracture surgery after that season, and then tore his ACL in 2015. Durability is the number one concern here. John Ross, throughout his career, has not been able to stay healthy. Now, in high school, from what I could find, he was actually very healthy, so perhaps he was just getting unlucky in college. And you also can see that despite the injuries, he still has all of his speed, so he hasn't lost anything yet. But if these injuries keep racking up, then yes, he could. So durability is a concern there. How about run blocking? Yeah, he's not a great run blocker. So this is where he does fall under the stereotype of short wide receivers, in that he's not a great run blocker at all. And then you look at his physicality, and when he faces it, he's not very physical. I mean, he's decently physical, but when he's facing physical cornerbacks, press coverage, he can sometimes be rerouted. Although he'll still run the route the best he can be rerouted, and he can struggle there a little bit. We saw Alabama press him with Marlon Humphrey, and he had some struggles there. But again, I did not see Jay Browning helping him out very much either. Look at a pro comparison. How about Brandin Cooks and DeSean Jackson? You probably already heard these two, and they're very accurate. And I think the more accurate one would be Brandin Cooks. But like DeSean Jackson, I mean, this is a guy that can just beat you in so many different ways. I mean, do not doubt the fact that John Ross can run almost every route in the route tree and have success and really be a prolific wide receiver. Number one wide receiver for an NFL team. I think he's very dangerous. I think he's very, very good. But Brandin Cooks and DeSean Jackson being guys that can just blow past people, and he's still faster than both of them, it is still not very close, okay? I mean, this guy, John Ross, just blows past people, even when they get 10 yards, even when cornerbacks have a 10-yard cushion. Boom, he blows straight past them. They didn't have a chance, John Ross. So we move on to his best fits. How about the Cincinnati Bengals, who currently have A.J. Green, who can take the top off of defense, yes, but why not supplement him with a guy that can legitimately do it? That way A.J. Green can be a little bit more of a possession receiver, which I think the Bengals would prefer. Okay, that way they can get some more first downs next year. How about the Buffalo Bills, who again could use a nice guy to take the top on the defense, especially now that they lost Marquise Goodwin in free agency, as well as Robert Woods. So the Bills are in need of a wide receiver. How about John Ross? Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, they just signed Torrey Smith, so this isn't great still, but Torrey Smith just stinks to me. I mean, he only caught 40% of his targets this year, and I know he played for San Francisco, but Jeremy Curley at San Francisco still found a way to get over 50%, as did guys like Aaron Burbridge. So I think Torrey Smith just stinks at this point. The Eagles would be wise to still look to upgrade at the wide receiver position to me. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So yes, they just signed DeSean Jackson, but having DeSean Jackson and John Ross on the same team ain't a bad thing. You'll notice that one team I left out was my own team, my favorite team, the Tennessee Titans. And although I would love for the Titans to take him, I don't think he's a great fit for their exotic smash mouth, run walking wide receiver junk. Okay, so I don't think he's a great fit there. Although if they take him, I'll be fine with it because I think this guy's going to be pretty damn good. So to give him a prospect grade, guys, I really like this guy. 87. I think he's a very good prospect. I think there's possible Pro Bowls. I think he's going to be a top 15 wide receiver at his position, but he has to be healthy. That is the thing. And when I give prospect grades, I really don't tick down for injuries too much because I don't have the medical stuff in my hand. I mean, if the doctor hands you something, he says, look, this guy's susceptible to injury, he will continue to get injuries throughout the rest of his career, then you have to make that decision. But just as a player, man, he deserves an 87. And if he's healthy, top 15 wide receiver, maybe even top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, and if he continues to improve his route running, which is already pretty freaking good. I didn't talk about his route running. He has good route running. I mean, he has route creativity. He's able to not tip off his routes, you know, doing an in route or in route or an out route or a corner or a comeback. He doesn't tip those off. He's able to go in and out of his breaks quickly. He's a good route runner. So, I mean, I like this guy. I think he's going to find success in the NFL for years to come. If he continues to improve where he can in terms of run blocking and facing press coverage, then he could really be that top 10 wide receiver, maybe even top 5. No one thought Antonio Brown was going to be the best wide receiver in the NFL, but he put in the work, and you can see the tools there. And John Ross has more God-giving abilities than an Antonio Brown. So just look out for John Ross, man. I really like John Ross. So to conclude, with rare speed and sound receiving skills, John Ross has the tools to succeed in the NFL for years. But what? He must stay healthy. Durability is the number one thing with John Ross. If you're not comfortable with his medical history, then fine, pass on him. But do not be surprised if Mr. John Ross bites you later on down the road. So there you go. That is another 2017 NFL Draft Scouting Report. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. Peace.